Hello gentlemen, today we've got Tesung versus Leftiez for round 1 of Smogon Tour 20 playoffs. Tesung's a tour winner and Leftiez has made many very close attempts in the past. Two of the top players in the game. We've got Rose against Heatran lead. It's either Scarf or Sash raid. Either way, then a very rare Heatran set called Goten Tran, which is Lum, that would fuck up Rose raid because it also uses Magma Storm to kill through Sash. And it also has defense to live Machamp's Dynamic Punch and Bullet Punch. But I somehow doubt we're going to see that. This could be any Tran in the world, man. It could be Shuka, Pasho, even though Pasho generally does not have any historical relevance as a lead. It's just like you would put a CB Ape there because you don't really have a better lead. Specs, Life Orb, Spadef, which is another poke like, hey, I don't really have a great lead, so I'm just going to throw it here because it looks like a offensive Tran at first. Either way, I'm thinking Leftiez is getting a sleep powder off here. I mean, if it's Scarf, then he gets a Sash broken, but he just slept a Scarf Tran. And then he's guaranteed some T-Spikes. I generally don't like T-Spiking Roserade leads sometimes. Sometimes there's nothing scarier than a Roserade lead. Because there is, sometimes your team is weak to Toxic Spikes, and you see a Roserade lead, and you're like, oh, fuck me, this is some shit. But yeah, if you're Scarf, then they do sometimes run T-Spikes if they get a free switch on, say, a Scarf Rotom T-Bolt or something, and they're not really doling out damage to switch-ins with their attacks. So they can get one down there. And it also shows some more restraint. Oh man, it's actually Goten Tran. Well, that's unlikely. But I'm sorry, I'm going to unplug my stupid phone. I need to get another charger. Well, Tesung's up 6-5 because of the good Heatran set. And even though it's rare, Magma Storm accuracy sucks. Even though you can't miss Magma Storm against Machamp because of no guard. I do assume Leftiez has something to Oko. The Tran, though, whether it's his Pert for Rocks, the set does not run Will-O-Wisp. Or, it does run Will-O-Wisp. It doesn't run HP Grass, is what I was trying to say. Yes, Tran doesn't always have, like, the ideal matchup, but I mean, it's still beating Azelf leads, almost CB Explosion, and even with the defense, though, it might have a chance at living. Jolly, for sure. Adamant, I'm not sure about that, because Adamant is fucking, it's more likely to kill Metagross than not with Boom. So, Leftiez is in a real pickle here. You can't really fault him for that. There's Infernape. And I would assume, we don't know what kind of Infernape this is. It could be anything. Infernape has 6 trillion sets it could use. But if he's got U-turn, he should definitely use it, and Tesung should definitely switch. Because Banded Close Combat still will kill Heatran with defense investment. Even Physical Mix comes really close. And without Rocks up early, he's got the real free switch, Gyarados. And that's looking like a Banded Infernape. And it's also looking like offensive Gyarados, not just because of the lack of leftovers, but because of how much that took. It was a defensive Gyarados. If it had like any bulk at all, Jesus fuck, that's Life Orb Gyara, which is a good set, but it flinches the hurt. And Tesung's showing, well, I mean, Tesung is known for his luck, and there's a prime example. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it could happen, and but at the same time, it's super frustrating. Poor Leftiez. Swampert is not the greatest Gyara check, I mean, but if it doesn't have leftovers, and especially outside of sand, then because Taunt Gyara is really rare. It used to be just the standard, and if you used Roar Perk to beat it, then you were really, really fucked. But nowadays, it's good. Then, good-ish. Either way, it's not ideal. At least it's taking Life Orb damage, which will help it be revenge killed by something like Scarf Flygon if his revenge killer doesn't hit it super effectively. Flygon could use, like, well, either way, it can't use Earthquake on the Gyara, so Heatran would come in on the assumed Scarf Flygon and set up Rocks. At least, Gyara, if Leftiez is going to make a comeback, it's probably going to be with Ape, and Gyara's worn the hell down now, so as he takes out the Swampert and dips to below 50%. There's Rotom, so yeah, that didn't really happen. In my opinion, Lefty should switch. He's behind. There's no way Tesung just lets this die. I don't know to what, but Tesung rocking some Nas nicknames, or at least I'm not that familiar with Nas' discography outside of Illmatic, obviously, and some of the other classic tracks. And obviously I recognize Y'all Rock Fellas from Ether, but he gets his rocks up as Leftiez. I would have considered T-bolting again, although I guess he doesn't know that it's fucking, what's it called? Scarf. So he U-turns out of the Scarm, goes to Heat Train, gets up rocks on Ape, and Ape's gonna take out Gara with 2 close combats. I would have saved Gara some more, man. I mean, you can switch, unless this is like offensive Life Orb Starmie. Obviously, if it's Life Orb, it's offense. But actually, no, that's not true. That is untrue. There have been bulky Life Orb Starmies before. They're like a lost art. Lost them like 4 or 5 years ago, but they did exist. But it doesn't look like he's Life Orb, so not quite getting the result he wanted. I assume he assumed that Tesung would assume Shadow Ball, and thus he would go to Heat Train. But the great thing about Flygon is its health. You can be kind of, liberal with it. It's not like you need Flygon healthy. So if you wanted to absorb a hit like Rotom Shadow Ball, for example, great example, and then you can switch it in and scout. Scarf Gone is a lost art, man. It's a shame. But now Leftiez is facing a tough decision because Flygon, I mean, he could U-turn and he still wouldn't be in that bad shape. Although if Starmie gets U-turned on, then yeah, this is the part of the game where Leftiez is gonna have to make something happen. Anyway, I was gonna say if it's locked into close combat and the Starmie is bulky, you should probably save Gara, because I mean, the more sacks you have, the better. If you can get away with not sacking a poke like Tesung did Gara in that situation, it would be great. And Tesung's odds of winning, because I would assume he doesn't need to pound that Rotom. I mean, it's nice to have it almost dead, but what difference is it really making? His team is not going to be struggling with Rotom. He could have just recovered there, and he would still have Gara for a sack against the, what's it called, the Ape. Nope, then Leftiez tries to make something happen and gets Infernape quaked. Although, with Scarf Gone and Starmie and Gara, it's wonder Ape did, well, it didn't even do that much. It just killed Gara after a couple tries. He gets his free switch to Scarm now, but I mean, he trans in and his last is not loving the, what's it called, Heatran, I would assume. The last for Leftiez, well, it could be most things. It could be like Calm Mind Rachi, that makes sense with T-Spikes, and it could be Kun back up against, well, actually I don't think it's Kun, because Kun is a much better initial Gara switch. T-Tar makes sense. Yep, DD Tar, and it's getting worn down as he gets the spike down, so there's something. Here comes Flygon. Is he gonna fuck up the full? Nope, he's got to make something happen, man. He's just playing linearly like that is never gonna get him anywhere, as Flygon U-turns and continues this cycle. At least he's not going Starmie on Skarmory. I fucking hate when people just throw their Starms into Skarmory. Tesung misses his third Magma Storm. His first Magma Storm out of the 3 he's used. There's Crunch, finally, and that's not banded. That's Scarf, possibly. I mean, Scarf Rotom, Scarf Tar is not unheard of whatsoever, and they're good support for CB8. Is he going to keep switching into the Magma Storm? God, dude, pursued it or something. Because now he can't switch in anymore. I mean, he can't switch in regardless. And there's Stone Edge and Bronzong reveals itself. He is going to have to rely on Magma misses. As Scarm comes back in, he's going to have to Roost. Jesus, that did a lot. I don't want to say Banded Zong, but at the same time, that's kind of wild. As Lefty says GG, is he going to forfeit? Hasn't even seen Tesung's last, which could be, well, I would hope the last is something like Jolteon, because right now Zapdos trashes that shit. T-Tar is cool too, it works well with Tricker Zong, and there's the forfeit, so there's game 1. I mean, that's what Gotenran does, man. It does its job. And put him in a position, although I think Leftiez could have done some stuff better to try and come back, even though the Gara flinch was kind of nonsense and didn't help him out at all. So, game 2. Game 2 beginning. Leftiez running some Altaria mag shit, although you don't very often see Heatran with Magnezone. And Tesung's rocking some... He's also got a mag, although he's got a mag target in Ferrothorn. He has used Shed Shell Pharaoh before, but remember, when Pharaoh doesn't hold leftovers, then it gets worn down. Even when it uses Rocky Helmet to punish contact shit, it's just not the same as like Garchomp. Tesung is rocking a Pinsir as his Mega of choice, which is underrated because, as we all know, no one packs Flying Resists. Rip Tella. And he's also got his typical, you know, balanced hats, Rock, Spikes, Starmie. Tesung's missing a move on his Magnezone, so they're going to redo. Alright, we're back. Lefty's on the other side now. Although, with this handy-dandy showdown feature, we can switch back to the way it was. But, fuck that shit. Here's Altaria, here's Gastrodon. Gastrodon does pretty nicely against Tesung's team. Lefty's team, I'm sorry. Although once Gliscor gets his Toxic Orb up, it can actually switch into it, because that Gliscor does amazing things. And there's Magnezone holding the balloon. Tesung's probably going to pop it for his Lando. And he does with Power Whip. And down goes Pharaoh in exchange for rocks. His Latios might have defogged. It might not. I would imagine it does. I mean, he's not running HP Fire on a team with Magnezone. So we know his Lando is not a... Excuse me, I don't know where that came from. But it's not rocks. And Pharaoh had the Stealth Rock. Oh, it's Double Dance. It has been gaining traction lately. Great set. And Scarf is... I don't like Scarf in this or Black and White. There's Sub. Oh, but it's Ice Fang. Nice choice by Lefties. Hitting other Gliscors as well. Because sometimes Gliscors going to fight each other, and this gives you the upper hand rather than fucking girl slapping each other with knockoffs that get out-healed by Poison Heal. But, it's not going to kill the Lando, but it's going to put it in range or whatever. Not, I mean, Keldeo is in range, but he could be like Salic or some shit. So he can't, like, sub down to Salic and sweep the whole team. So, maybe he wants, he's going to calc Ice Fang and see if that can put him in Salic, because that would kind of be GG. But, and it would also, you know, kill Gliscor at the same time, which is obviously why he can't just sub down to it. Stone Edge is missing, and it does put him in Salic. As Tesung had to hit 2 Stone Edges there. Well, 3, because of Latios. And if he decided not to Mega, then Altaria as well. So he would have had to hit a lot of Stone Edges. And Pinsir's in. Not loving the counters, although he can't really SD. Well, he can if it doesn't Mega, because Ice Fang won't be super effective. And I mean, still, Mega Pinsir is a fuckload of defense. Is Revenge killing options? I mean, is that Scarf Tran? If so, then cool. Even, I mean, there's Starmie and Gastrodon to fuck with it, but still. At least it'll chase it out. As, who knows, because that Gliscor's looking kind of physically defensive. So, it might have been a roll with Stone Edge. Who knows? If he got the same roll or anything close to the same roll twice, then he would have killed through Poison Heal. But, who knows? I mean, hitting lots of Stone Edges is not reliable. So, Pinsir's in. I'm not sure how Lefties wants to approach this. Gliscor is nice for switching into Gastrodon, but at the same time, if it means, you know, letting Pinsir go to town, then I am not sure. How can you limit Pinsir's setup? Maybe go to Heatran, which is kind of useless, and only let it get 1 SD, and then it can't kill Latios with Quick Attack. Unless it's like Adamant or some shit. And Adamant Pinsir has a whole host of issues. So he doesn't switch. He's Megas, he Swords Dance, he's getting hit super effectively by Ice Wing, even though that was jack shit. And Lefties better have a Scarf Tran, or a Quick Attack is just going to cut through everything. I would sack his Magnezone now. Nope, he's going to sack this for. So I think he's Scarf Tran. Otherwise, he wouldn't have just let it SD like that. Surely not. And I don't know if Latios kills with, what's it called? Fucking Draco Meteor. So, I would assume so though. And Tesung also doesn't have Draco Meteor switch-ins. I mean, Magnezone is not a Draco Meteor switch-in. Is this the Scarf trend? What else is gonna use Stealth Rock, dude? Rocks Gliscor? Rocks Ice Fang Gliscor? Now that's some niche shit. Although Scarf Rocks Heatran was a thing, just barely a thing, but still a thing in DPP, although we don't see it here. As Tesung calls the bluff and close combats, and that is going to be game. So, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.